hyphen. The most important thing on that headstone is that dash in between the date you were born and the date you died. That dash in between, that's where you live, that's where you breathe, that's where you love, that's where you lament. That dash in between is your life story. So, what do you do between the time that you're born and the time that you die? Do you just waste it away doing nothing? Or do you spend it trying to perhaps leave the world in a better state than that in which you found it when you came into it? So the skull is to remind you of the brevity of life. Life is very short, and that we are all mortal, and that our goal as Freemasons, we say, is to live respected and die regretted. To live respected and die regretted, so that the world has become a better place because of your presence in it. So that's what the skull symbolizes. It's not something ghastly or evil, but to remind one of one's own mortality, because before long we will all be traveling, in the words of Shakespeare, to that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns.
Very true. I have a dollar bill with me here.
The dollar bill.
And I'm going to just, if the camera can come a little close up on this dollar bill.
The dollar bill.
And I just want us to take a look of just what the dollar bill looks like. And there's a pyramid here. I was wondering if you could give us a little details on that.
Yes. It's funny how, a lot of folks don't really look at their money, or maybe they do and they wonder, well, what is this? The two symbols, the pyramid and the eagle, are the two sides of the Great Seal of the United States that actually came into existence not too long after the American Revolution. Really and truly, it's not a Masonic symbol per se, although there were Masons involved in the early designs. The saying at the top, Anuit Coeptus, means he, God, favors our undertaking. And at the bottom it said Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages. Now people say, well, it means New World Order. It doesn't mean New World Order, because in Latin the word for world is mundo. That's world. Okay. It's New Order for the Ages. The most prominent thing about the seal, both the eagle and the pyramid, is that you'll find the number 13 is very pronounced throughout. Now, 13 is a number that sometimes scares people. They think it's bad luck. And I'll say a little more about the origin of Friday the 13th in just a moment.
Okay.
But if you remember your history, there were 13 original colonies,
right,
all located in the Northeast. So the number 13 refers to the 13 original colonies. And here on the side with the eagle, there are 13 stripes. There are 13 leaves on the olive branches with 13 olives, 13 arrows. There are 13 stripes in the shield on the eagle's chest. There are 13 stars above its head. The number 13 is a number also of change and transition. If we have a deck of tarot cards, the 13th card in a tarot deck is the death card. And when it comes up in a reading, people get frightened and scared, but it doesn't mean a physical death. It can mean death to a way of thinking, death to an old way of life. It means it's a transitional.
It's like a rebirth?
A rebirth, exactly. And speaking of rebirth, what they wanted instead of the eagle, initially, they wanted a phoenix, as the phoenix rises from the ashes in giving birth to itself again. But they went with the eagle, which is facing the olive branches, which means that we favor peace over war. There are more things here in terms of the number of levels on the pyramid, the number of letters in the saying E pluribus unum. But it's also interesting to note that the seal is on the $1 bill, and George Washington was a Freemason.
Right.
Up until the 1930s, the symbol with the pyramid was not used, even though it existed. It was Franklin Roosevelt who put it on at the insistence of Henry Wallace, who was then the Secretary of Agriculture under Franklin Roosevelt. And Franklin Roosevelt himself was a 32nd degree Mason. But if you find a dollar pre-1932, let's say, it probably will not have the pyramid on it because it didn't come into use until our era, even though it had been created much earlier. But there's nothing evil about it,
Okay.
And the eye in the triangle is always a symbol of divine providence or God, and 3 being a holy number. The Friday the 13th thing, real quick, people have different theories, but in truth it refers to the demise of the Knights Templar, who were rounded up on Friday the 13th in 1307 by King Philip le Bel of France and Pope, which one is it now? Pope Clement V, who were really interested in getting the Templar money. And so the decree to round up the Templars happened on October the 13th. It was a Friday the 13th. That's why it has such an ominous, it's such an ominous date, because of the demise of the Knights Templar. And that's pure historic fact. That's not my opinion. That's the date that they were rounded up on.
That's very interesting.
And now some also will say, well, it may have something to do with the fact that Christ had 12 apostles.
Right.
So you have a number 13 there as well. But there are many different. You could play with numbers all day long.
Oh, definitely. I also believe Masonry deals with a lot of numerology, right? And
there are significant
geometric figures.
Yes, absolutely.
There's so much to learn about Masonry, actually. It's too much for one show.
It is a bit.
We have to do a part 2 on this.
My pleasure.
I'd love to do that with you, if that's
sure,
okay.
Absolutely, no problem.
I have to wrap up.
Oh, that was quick.
Thank you so much
You're most
for
welcome.
being on my show. My name is Linda Singh. Thank you so much for watching the Finding Wisdom show. Please stay tuned. Please stay tuned for our new schedule, which we will let you know what our dates will be for 2010. And Cliff, I just want to extend a special thanks. I understand you have a very busy schedule, and I really appreciate the time that you've taken out to be on the show. And I want to thank the crew members that helped me on the show today. I really appreciate your help and your time. And my viewers, thank you. Please stay tuned to our shows. We will be having we will be having more new and exciting shows coming. Thank you.